Hello, and welcome to the Fun Facts Galore channel. In today's video we will be talking about a subject that's in the news these days, climate change. Climate change is a critical issue that has been gaining increasing attention in recent years. It refers to the long-term changes in the Earth's climate system, including temperature, precipitation, and weather patterns, which are primarily driven by human activities. Climate change has significant impacts on the environment, human health, and the global economy, making it a crucial issue for us to address. It is imperative that we understand the facts surrounding climate change and take action to mitigate its effects to ensure a sustainable future for our planet. Unfortunately, despite the critical importance of climate change, there is a great deal of misinformation and confusion surrounding the topic. This misinformation can make it difficult for individuals and policymakers to understand the true nature and severity of the issue and to take appropriate action. As a result, it is crucial to separate fact from fiction and to gain a clear understanding of the science and the implications of climate change. Only then can we make informed decisions about how to address this critical issue. The purpose of this video is to provide a comprehensive overview of climate change, present the latest scientific findings, and dispel common myths and misconceptions about the issue. By presenting the facts about climate change in a clear and concise manner, we aim to educate and inform our audience and empower them to take action to mitigate the effects of climate change. Ultimately, our goal is to raise awareness about the urgent need to address this critical issue and to inspire individuals and policymakers to take action. Understanding climate change. Climate change refers to long-term changes in the Earth's climate system, including global temperature, precipitation patterns, and weather events. These changes are driven primarily by human activities, such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial processes, which release large amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Weather, on the other hand, refers to short-term atmospheric conditions, such as temperature, humidity, wind, and precipitation, that occur over a period of hours or days in a particular location. While weather can vary widely from day to day and region to region, climate change refers to global changes that occur over much longer periods of time, often spanning decades or even centuries. It is important to understand the difference between weather and climate change, as they are two distinct phenomena with very different implications. The greenhouse effect is a natural process that occurs when certain gases in the Earth's atmosphere, such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane, trap heat from the sun and prevent it from escaping into space. These gases act like a blanket, keeping the Earth's surface warm and habitable for living organisms. However, when the concentration of these greenhouse gases in the atmosphere increases, more heat is trapped, causing the Earth's temperature to rise. This process is known as global warming and is the primary driver of climate change. Human activities, such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation, have significantly increased the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, exacerbating the greenhouse effect and contributing to the warming of the planet. It is important to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and adopt sustainable practices to mitigate the effects of global warming and prevent catastrophic climate change. There is overwhelming scientific evidence that the Earth's temperature is rising at an alarming rate. One of the most widely cited sources of evidence is the instrumental record of global temperature measurements, which shows that the Earth's surface temperature has risen by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century. In addition to the instrumental record, there is also ample evidence from other sources, such as tree rings, ice cores, and sediment records, which show that current temperatures are unprecedented in at least the past 2,000 years. Furthermore, numerous indicators of global warming are now widely observed, including melting ice sheets and glaciers, rising sea levels, and increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather events such as heat waves, hurricanes, and droughts. These trends are projected to continue and worsen if greenhouse gas emissions are not reduced. Causes of climate change. Human activities, such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation, are major contributors to climate change. Burning fossil fuels, such as coal, oil, and gas, releases large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which contributes to the greenhouse effect and the warming of the planet. The transportation sector, industrial processes, and electricity generation are the main sources of greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels. Deforestation, which is often driven by agriculture and land use changes, also contributes to climate change by reducing the amount of carbon that forests can absorb from the atmosphere. Forests play a crucial role in removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through photosynthesis, storing carbon in biomass and soil. In addition, other human activities, such as industrial agriculture and livestock production, contribute to the release of other potent greenhouse gases such as methane and nitrous oxide. To mitigate the effects of climate change, it is essential to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and adopt sustainable practices. Things like investing in renewable energy, promoting energy efficiency, reducing waste, and conserving forests and other natural ecosystems. These actions can help to stabilize the Earth's climate and ensure a sustainable future for our planet. A carbon footprint is a measure of the amount of greenhouse gases, particularly carbon dioxide, that are emitted as a result of human activities, such as transportation, energy use, and food production. Essentially, it measures the impact that our actions have on the environment and climate change. Carbon footprints are measured in units of carbon dioxide equivalent and can be calculated for individuals, businesses, or entire countries. Every product, service, or activity has a carbon footprint associated with it, which can vary widely depending on factors such as the energy source used, the production methods, and the transportation involved. The impact of carbon footprints on the environment is significant. There are many myths and misconceptions about climate change, which can make it difficult for people to understand the true causes and consequences of this global issue. One of the most common myths is that natural causes, such as changes in the Earth's orbit or solar radiation, are the main culprits of climate change. While it is true that natural factors can influence the Earth's climate, the overwhelming scientific evidence indicates that human activities, such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation, are the primary drivers of global warming and climate change. The concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has increased significantly due to human activities, trapping more heat and causing the Earth's temperature to rise. Another myth is that climate change is not happening or is not a serious problem. As discussed earlier, there is abundant scientific evidence that the Earth's temperature is rising at an alarming rate, and that this trend is projected to continue and worsen if greenhouse gas emissions are not reduced. Climate change is already having a significant impact on ecosystems, human health, and the global economy, and will continue to do so unless action is taken. Finally, some people believe that it is too late to address climate change, or that there is nothing that can be done to mitigate its effects. While it is true that the Earth's climate is already changing and that some impacts are inevitable, there is still a lot that can be done to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the changing climate. It is essential that we act now to mitigate the worst effects of climate change and ensure a sustainable future for our planet. Effects of climate change. Climate change has a range of impacts on the environment, ecosystems, and human societies. Some of the most significant impacts include the following. Rising sea levels. As the Earth's temperature rises, ice caps and glaciers are melting, causing sea levels to rise. This can lead to flooding of low-lying areas, loss of coastal ecosystems, and increased storm surges and erosion. Increased frequency of extreme weather events. Climate change can lead to more frequent and severe heat waves, droughts, floods, hurricanes, and other extreme weather events. These events can have devastating impacts on communities, economies, and ecosystems. Biodiversity loss. Climate change can alter the habitats of many species, causing them to migrate or become extinct. This can lead to a loss of biodiversity and ecological services, such as pollination, that are essential for human societies. Health impacts. Climate change can lead to increased air pollution, heat stress, and the spread of infectious diseases. These impacts can have serious health consequences for vulnerable populations, such as children, the elderly, and people with pre-existing health conditions. Economic impacts. Climate change can have significant economic impacts, such as increased costs of adaptation and mitigation, loss of crops and agricultural productivity, and damage to infrastructure and property. These impacts are not limited to specific regions or countries, and they will affect all of us, regardless of where we live. Therefore, it is essential that we take urgent action to address climate change and mitigate its worst impacts. Climate change is already affecting different parts of the world, with many communities and ecosystems experiencing the impacts. Here are some examples. Arctic regions. Arctic sea ice is rapidly melting due to rising temperatures, leading to changes in ocean currents and ecosystem disruption. This has major consequences for the people and wildlife that rely on Arctic ecosystems, including indigenous communities. Coastal communities. As sea levels rise, many coastal communities are facing increased flooding and storm surges, which can damage homes and infrastructure. This is especially problematic for low-lying areas and small island nations. Tropical regions. Tropical regions are experiencing more frequent and severe droughts, heat waves, and hurricanes, leading to crop failures, water scarcity, and ecosystem damage. Mountainous regions. Mountainous regions are facing significant impacts from climate change, including melting glaciers, changes in snow patterns, and increased frequency of landslides and rockfalls. These changes can have major implications for communities and ecosystems that rely on mountain resources. Forest ecosystems. Forests are particularly vulnerable to climate change, with many regions experiencing more frequent wildfires, insect infestations, and disease outbreaks. This can lead to loss of forest cover, decreased biodiversity, and reduced carbon storage capacity. These are just a few examples of how climate change is affecting different parts of the world. The impacts are widespread and diverse, and they will continue to worsen unless we take urgent action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to a changing climate. If we fail to take action to address climate change, the consequences could be catastrophic for the planet and human societies. It is essential that we take urgent action to address climate change and prevent these catastrophic outcomes from becoming a reality. Solutions to climate change. There are many solutions that can help combat climate change and reduce the impact of human activities on the environment. Here are a few examples. Reducing carbon emissions. One of the most effective ways to combat climate change is to reduce carbon emissions. This can be achieved by using cleaner forms of energy, such as renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower, and by improving energy efficiency in homes, buildings, and transportation. Planting trees and preserving forests. Trees absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and can help offset carbon emissions. Planting trees and preserving forests can also help protect biodiversity and promote sustainable land use practices. Investing in research and development. Investing in research and development can help develop new technologies and solutions that can reduce carbon emissions and mitigate the impacts of climate change. These are just a few of the many solutions that can help combat climate change and reduce the impact of human activities on the environment. Individual actions can play a crucial role in reducing carbon emissions and mitigating climate change. Here are some examples of what individuals can do. Reduce energy consumption. By using energy-efficient appliances, turning off lights and electronics when not in use, and adjusting the thermostat, individuals can reduce their energy consumption and carbon footprint. Use sustainable transportation. Walking, biking, or using public transportation instead of driving alone can reduce carbon emissions from transportation. Reduce waste. By reducing waste, recycling, and composting, individuals can help reduce the environmental impact of their daily lives. While individual actions alone may not be sufficient to address the magnitude of the climate crisis, they can contribute to a larger movement for change. By taking action and inspiring others to do the same, individuals can help create a culture of sustainability and promote systemic change towards a more sustainable future. One common argument against taking action on climate change is the economic cost and potential job loss. However, there are several reasons why this argument is flawed. First, the economic cost of not addressing climate change is likely to be far greater than the cost of taking action. The impacts of climate change, such as extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and loss of biodiversity, will have significant economic consequences, including damage to infrastructure, loss of agricultural productivity, and increased healthcare costs. Second, investing in renewable energy and other sustainable practices can create new job opportunities and stimulate economic growth. The clean energy sector, for example, has been one of the fastest-growing industries in recent years and has the potential to create millions of new jobs. Third, the transition to a low-carbon economy can be managed in a way that prioritizes workers and communities that are most affected by the transition. This can include providing support for retraining and education programs and investing in infrastructure and economic development in affected areas. Finally, the cost of action should be weighed against the cost of inaction. The longer we delay action on climate change, the more costly and difficult it will be to mitigate its impacts. Taking action now can help reduce the severity of the crisis and provide a better future for future generations. Final thoughts. Taking action on climate change is crucial for the future of our planet and our species. The impacts of climate change are already being felt around the world, with rising temperatures, sea levels, and more frequent and severe weather events. The consequences of inaction are dire, including widespread ecological and economic damage, displacement of millions of people, and even potential societal collapse. It is crucial that we take action now to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the impacts of climate change. But taking action on climate change is not just about avoiding catastrophic outcomes. It is also an opportunity to create a better, more sustainable future for ourselves and future generations. We have a responsibility to protect the planet and its inhabitants, including other species that share this world with us. We owe it to ourselves, future generations, and the planet to take action now to address the climate crisis. In conclusion, taking action on climate change is not just important, it is essential for our survival and the survival of our planet. We must all do our part, as individuals, communities, and nations, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and transition to a more sustainable future. Together, we can create a world that is not only sustainable but also equitable and just. Let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.